Hello! Once again, my name is Mrs. May Ann O. Garcia, and this time I will be discussing to you the Newton's law of motion, particularly the first law of motion known as the law of inertia. When we talk about inertia, it is the tendency of an object to stay at rest or stay moving. So when an object is at rest, it has inertia. And also if the object is moving, it also contains inertia. Applying to an object, the object will not change its state, meaning it will remain at rest or it will remain moving. Newton's first law of motion states that an object at rest stays at rest. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina. So, yung object na nakahinto, mananatili lang na nakahinto. And an object in motion stays in motion. Yung object naman na gumagalaw, mananatili rin silang gumagalaw. But, lahat ba ng mga bagay na nakahinto, nananatiling nakahinto? Or lahat ba ng mga bagay na gumagalaw ay nananatiling gumagalaw? What causes an object at rest to move and what causes an object that is in motion to stop? That is when an outside force acts on them. So, with constant velocity unless acted upon by an external net force. So, meaning, yung object na nakahinto, meron siyang constant velocity. Yung object din na gumagalaw, meron din siyang constant na velocity. Unless acted upon by an external net force. Merong outside force na gumalaw sa kanyang equilibrium. Okay? This is because of inertia or the natural tendency of every object to resist a change in their state of motion. So, ito yung tinatawag natin na resistance. Yung object kasi na nakahinto, they resist moving. At yung gumagalaw naman, they resist stopping. That is what inertia is all about. Which ball do you think is easier to move? Looking from the diagram, obviously, we can see that the heavy one. Using a balance, we can tell that a bowling ball is heavier compared to a beach ball. The larger or the smaller one, automatically, we can say that it is the heavy one. Okay? Based on this example, you can infer that since the larger ball has more mass, it has more inertia than the smaller bag with less mass. So, therefore, mass is a measure of inertia. So, we can say that the greater the mass, the greater its inertia. The lesser its mass, the lesser its inertia. Okay? So, nakadepende sa mass ng object yung inertia niya. The relationship between mass and inertia is as the mass of an object increases. So, habang tumataas daw yung mass ng object, its ability to resist a change in its state of motion also increases. So, magkakaroon din ng higher o pagtaas yung resistance niya sa paggalaw niya o pagbabago ng kanyang state. Okay. Why is it that when you kick a ball on the ground, it gradually slows down until it completely stops? So, ma'am, sabi mo kanina, yung bagay na nakahinto, magre-resist na gumalaw. Mananatili lang siyang nakahinto. At yung object naman na gumagalaw, magre-resist naman siyang huminto at mananatili siyang gumagalaw. Pero bakit ma'am kapag sinipa ko yung bola, gagalaw siya, pero eventually hihinto? Babagsak din naman siya, mami. O hindi kaya, pupunta rin siya sa spot kung saan siya bumagsak na pwedeng huminto siya doon. Pwedeng kumulong siya, pero bakit hinto siya? Well, this is because of friction. Friction is a kind of force. It is a force acting on two objects sliding against each other here on planet, which opposes motion. So, when we talk about forces, it should be in contact. So, magkadikit dapat sila. So, yung friction na yon, it is the one causing the object to change its state. Okay? So, net force. Balikan natin yung net force from the video that you have watched from the first one. So, when we say net force, it is the sum of all forces acting on an object. So, kapag inad mo yung mga forces sa paligid mo, kunwari, di ba, pagka same ang direction niya, di ba, i-add. So, kapag magka-opposite ang direction nila, isusubtract. Yung total answer nun, ang tawag doon ay net force. So, let us say, looking from the figure number 2, there is a ball. So, we can say, based on the diagram, it shows that a ball has a 0 velocity. So, 0 meter per second. So, ibig sabihin yung object ay nakahinto. Wala siyang displacement. Kasi wala siyang direction. Nakahinto lang siya, 0 lang siya. So, once nakinig natin yung ball, represented by the red arrow, it will go to the right side. But there is another force acting on a ball known as the friction. That particular force or the friction will resist its movement. At yan naman ay magkakaroon ng opposite direction. Siya yung magre-resist. At since silang dalawa ay opposite sa isa't isa, yung combining them two will give you the line of action. Ibig sabihin, doon lang naganap yung paggalaw ng object na yon within kumbaga path, within the path kung saan nagkasalubong yung applied force at saka yung friction. But class, do you know that aside from applied force and friction, there are also two kinds of forces acting on that ball, which is going up and going down. The downward force will always be the gravitational force. So, dahil sa gravity na to, lahat ng object ay nagmo-move downward. Same with the ball. Kahit siya ay nakastill, nakahinto sa ground, meron pa rin siyang force, which is the downward force known as the gravity. But, at the same time, acting on it is its opposite force, known as the normal force. Normal force or the upward force, which counteracts the gravitational force. At mapapansin mo, dahil silang dalawa ay opposite din ang direction, isang pataas at saka isang pababa, we can also say that the object is not moving. Bakit hindi siya gumagalaw? Kasi, looking from the figure, diba, 0 velocity siya. So, the reason why the object is at complete state of at rest is because all of the forces acting upon the ball are all equal. Equal ha, and in opposite direction. Now, let us relate this again with the other kinds of forces. So, again, naka-stay at rest yung ball na yan. Merong 4 na forces na nag-act sa kanya. All of them are in opposite direction. Yung applied force going to the right, friction going to the left. Silang dalawa yung magka-partner. At silang dalawa pag pinagsama mo, they will make the line of action. And then, yung upward force naman known as the normal force and the downward force known as the gravitational force. Factors for vertical zero net force. Vertical so pag sinabing vertical, patayo. 2 are equal in magnitude. So, yung force na in-apply ni normal force should also be equivalent to the force acted by the gravitational force. And they line on the same line of action. Kasi kapag kakinonect po silang dalawa, using a straight line, pantay sila eh. So, straight ang kanilang line of action. And looking again from the figure, they have an opposite direction. So, I believe that I have already asked you to answer activity number 2 known as magic or inertia. Let us take a look back at this activity. Okay. The objective of this activity is for you to be able to demonstrate the relationship between inertia and mass. So, kanina nabanggit natin that when the mass of an object is greater, the inertia will also become greater. So, if the mass of an object is lesser, then its inertia will also be lesser. Kumbaga, ano sila directly proportional silang dalawa. Okay? There are 3 identical plastic bottles. Water, bandana, and a sturdy table enable for you to do this activity. These are the materials to be used. And this is the actual setup from which you will be able to conduct the activity. So for the procedure, label the 3 plastic bottles as A, B, and C. So, fill bottle A with water up to the brim. So, yung bottle A natin hanggang dulo, hanggang sa pinakatakip niya. Then, half fill bottle B. So, yung si bottle B naman hanggang kalahati lang. And then, leave bottle C empty. So, si bottle C wala namang laman. Cover the surface of a sturdy table using the bandana and stand the bottles on top of it. So, isa-isa mong ipapatong yung mga bottle sa ibabaw ng bandana kung saan yung bandana ay nakapatong sa mesa. Quickly pull the bandana off the table and observe what happened. So, once na hinatak mo siya, what will happen to the 3 bottles? Okay? So, let us now have the guide question. And let us check the guide questions that you have written on your modules. So, question number 1. When you pull the bandana off the table, which bottle tip off? So, alin yung madaling bumagsak sa kanilang tatlo? Is it bottle A, B, or C? Correct. It's bottle C, the one with an empty the one that is empty. Okay, if your answer is bottle C, then 1 check for that. Next, which bottle is the sturdiest and did not move much? So, alin naman sa kanilang tatlo ang hindi naman napagalaw? That is also correct. That is bottle A, the one with water up to the brim. Number 3, which of the 3 bottles has the greatest mass than the rest? So, alin sa kanilang tatlo ang pinakamabigat? Okay, good. That is letter C. Ay, letter A. Akala nyo ha? Okay, that is letter A. So, yung pinakamabigat, yung puno yung tubig. And then, number 4, which bottle has a greatest inertia? So, since related ang mass sa inertia at na-figure out natin na ang bottle A ang pinakamabigat sa lahat, then therefore, bottle A has the greatest inertia. So, 1 check again for that. Okay, number 5, based on this activity, how can you relate the inertia of the bottle with its mass? So, what is the relationship between mass and inertia? Okay, the greater the mass, the greater the inertia. The lesser the mass, the lesser its inertia. That will be directly proportional. Okay, easy, di ba? Napakadali ng activity ito. Okay, to summarize our lesson for today about the law of inertia, we can say that an object at rest will remain at rest, and an object in motion will remain in motion in a constant velocity unless an outside force acts on it. So, that is how inertia, the law of inertia applies to. Do you have any question? Okay, so that is all for today. Now, let us move on the third video, which is about the law of acceleration. I'll see you all on that video. Thank you.